Hi, I'm Lisa Hayden with Channel 6, Central Kentucky TV, community focus on Washington County. And I have a little laryngitis today. So Susan Spalding, the Business and Professional Women's Lifetime Achievement Award winner, is going to tell us all about herself and why she's the recipient of this award. So I won't do the talking, but congratulations to you, Susan.
Well, thank you.
Because it's an award most deserved.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
And Susan is not originally from Washington County.
Right.
She is from?
I'm from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And so I grew up where it was much colder. So it's a pleasure to be where the climate is pretty calm, you know, during the winter. So after college, I went to Chicago, and that's where I met my husband, and we were there for many years, and then moved to New York area. We worked in New York City for about 9 years, and then when it was time to kind of think about what are we going to do next, because we knew we didn't want to retire in the East, and our families were all back this way, and so we thought we would probably move back to Chicago, where most of our kids and grandkids were. But as the time got closer, we just felt, you know, we'd been living in big cities for a long time, and it's great. Big cities are great when you're young, and it's very exciting, and there's lots of things to do. But as you get a little older, you realize that traffic is an issue. Waiting in line is not always the most fun thing to do for everything. And so we thought that maybe we would look for a smaller community. So I said, well, how about Kentucky? And my husband was a little bit set back because when he was young, he thought the best place to be is not in Kentucky. So,
because he grew up in Springfield.
Right, he grew up in Springfield. So, but I always loved visiting here. I thought this was a very friendly place, a very beautiful state, very friendly place. And as the time went on, I felt like I knew more people here in Springfield than I did in my own hometown in Wisconsin, or even in where we had lived in Chicago for many years. So it's just that kind of a community. And so he said, well, I don't know, what would I do here? I said, well, you don't have to worry about making a living here. You're going to be retiring. We can work in the community. We can help the community maybe in some ways. And so we said, well, we'll give it a whirl, and if it doesn't work, we can always go back to Chicago or someplace else. So, but here we are. It's almost 23 years later, and we're still here, having a good time, and enjoying our time here.
So, you received this award based on lots of things that you've done in this community, and I want to congratulate you for that, and thank you and Lynn for all the work you have done in this community. So, but Susan, I have to go back prior to, you're going to have to tell me all the things that have gone on since you've moved here. But I didn't realize how, you know, you did a lot of things when you were in Chicago, and in some of the work that you did there.
Well, I was working for several large companies, mostly banks, and also I was with Coopers & Lybrand in their consulting business for a number of years. And so I was had worked in a growing part of the banking industry. It was the pension trust business. And Northern Trust was one of the premier companies in Chicago that had a growing pension and profit-sharing trust business. And so I kind of grew up in that business, and as it grew, my job responsibilities grew, and ended up with managing about 150 people in the operations and client servicing area for Northern Trust at that time. Then I went to Continental Bank for a number of years and set up their client servicing area in a similar area. And then after that, Coopers & Lybrand asked me to come and join them in their banking consulting business. And at that particular time, there were a lot of bank mergers, especially smaller rural banks into bigger regional banks. And so I did a number of mergers of trust departments among banks in all over the country, from Minneapolis to Omaha to Los Angeles. And
so you were traveling quite a bit.
Traveled quite a bit. And yes, and so then I ended up coming back to Northern Trust for a couple years, and then Len took a job in New York, so we all had to move to New York. We didn't, but I did stay with Northern Trust in New York, and because we had a growing East Coast clientele. So we had big clients such as AT&T, Pfizer, many of the big names that you would know, and so I was kind of like the senior client officer in that area. So being in New York was fun and exciting, but Chicago was great too, and New York is just bigger in all respects, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, but it was certainly an interesting time in our life. We could travel in 4 hours of driving. You could be in about 8 different states. So there's a lot of history out there. So we did a lot of tourism travel on the weekends and just went from one place to the other all the way around, kind of a circle around that area. So it was a good experience.
And so you're quite a businesswoman, Susan, and very involved and very active in that aspect. But when you came here then, well, I guess did you totally retire when you came?
Yes, well, yes. We both kind of, Len kind of retired. He's semi-retired, but, excuse me, but I did retire, and we kind of had the thought in mind that we would concentrate on education. And because one of the things that Len thought was probably needed in the Kentucky area was some emphasis on education in different ways. We didn't know if it would be what level, but as it turned out, we've worked on all levels of education, which has been interesting and fun and very rewarding.
Well, of course, Len was a graduate of St. Dominics School.
Mm-hmm.
His father was a dentist here.
Yes.
Dr. Len. So he is, is he Len Jr.?
He's a Len Jr. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went, I guess, he went to St. Joe, didn't he?
No, he did not. He went to Springfield High School.
Springfield High School,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then on to...
Well, he did a 1 year at St. Xavier in Cincinnati. He had a basketball scholarship there. But then he injured his knee, foot, ankle, whatever, and so his basketball career ended. So what did they do? They went to the Army. So he and his brother and a couple other local contemporaries of his joined the Army together, and then, of course, then life changed. And when he came back from the Army, he went to Bellarmine. Graduated from Bellarmine, yeah.
Did he ever go to St. Catherine, any?
No.
But of course, you all did so much work for St. Catherine College and also for St. Dominics School in regard to education.
Yeah.
And then you, of course, started the Mid-Kentucky Arts. So not only did you work in education, but Susan Spalding, I have to say, the best thing ever that could have happened in this community, one of the best things, was that Mid-Kentucky Arts.
Well, thank you. It was one of those things that just happened. There was a little fledgling singing group when I arrived, and it was, just a little get-up group. And once we started getting involved with St. Catherine College in general, both of us, we felt that it would be a great outreach program for the college. It would bring attention to the college without having a student here, or it would just be a part of the community more than just a college might be viewed. So that was kind of the impetus for doing this. But I also liked music, singing, and we enjoyed a lot of different musical entertainment in New York, Chicago, and we said, why shouldn't this community have the best it can be? So we worked at finding people who could contribute to that equation, and we drew them in gradually, and once we had a few really good singers, then it attracted other good singers, and then we had attracted other musicians, and one thing led to the other, and we ended up with some very, very, professional programs, and we're still very, very proud of all those programs that we put on, and everybody walks away thinking, boy, I didn't expect it would be that good.
Yeah.
And that's what's really fun, is because people don't expect it to be that good, and it is really good. It's really professional and excellent. And there's so much talent around here that we don't have to go very far to get really, really talented people.
Yeah.
And so it's been fun to provide opportunities for these talented people to perform in their home environments or near home. I mean, but we've and
they do this for free. Think about that.
Well,
I mean, they do it because they love the arts, and they love to,
right. Well, they like to
get
perform.
the opportunity to perform,
But
and
we also
share their talent.
We also believe that musicians should be paid, and many of the people that we have that perform for us that's their livelihood. They want to make their living by music, so we do want to pay them. We want to support the arts. We don't want them to be always starving artists. Now, we aren't paying them a king's ransom, but we are paying them something, and that's why we charge admission, so that we can pay these people. Yeah. And when you have artists who are compensated for their work, then you have happy artists, and and they are willing to come and provide their time and talent for you. So it's kind of a mutual thing. We get great entertainment, and they get some compensation.
Well,
too.
when I say for free, I don't like I said, I don't.
Now,
a lot of
the chorus themselves,
right?
Our core group of people, yes, they come and sing with us because they love the environment. They love to be able to sing with a group. They love to perform great music and to do it professionally. So that attracts them, and we have anywhere from 65 to 85 singers at any one time. It all depends what their schedule is. They can't all sing all the time, but some of them are at least once a year. They're in one of the programs, and so it's really a great group of people, and we get to meet people from all different communities, because we do have people from as far as Radcliffe to Bergen, near Harrodsburg, north of Harrodsburg, Louisville, and Campbellsville. We had somebody from Columbia last year who was singing with us. So they have to travel quite a bit so they're committed, and we put in a lot of time to get it to that level.
And you sing.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm not a great singer, but I like to sing.
And Lynn has always done the introductions and all.
He was our MC for many years.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, he
and
was.
Teresa Tedder leads the chorus.
Yes.
And, well, the whole thing. And,
Yes.
of course, does a fabulous job. But you, you have been the force behind all of this.
In my professional role, I was a manager, an organizer, and so in marketing and all this stuff. So that's kind of what I do. I'm kind of doing the same thing here. I'm kind of planning ahead. We do, I do a lot of the logistics of what's coming in the future. When we get down to a performance venue, where we're going to be, how we're going to get set up, who's going to be doing what, X, Y, and Z, and getting volunteers set up, getting the financial arrangements made for both raising money and then, getting people compensated for different things that they do, and advertising and or brochures, and with the help now of the city, because we're now under the auspices of the city. They give us great support, and we're very grateful for that, that we had a home to come to right away when St. Catherine closed. So we're still a not-for-profit organization, so we can still solicit contributions for things, and they get to be a tax-deductible contribution. So that's always a nice little thing.
Oh, yeah.
So and the city helps us with
city's happy to have you under there, because that draws people to downtown.
Yes.
We use the Opera House and for our arts with the theater and
right. And we do things with the theater now. In the last couple of years, we've done several programs in conjunction with theater people. Or some of them, 2 of them have been at St. Catherine, but this year we're going to be here at the Opera House. And one of our people is very creative in putting shows together, Gary Vitito, and he's going to create this show Yeehaw, which is a kind of a take on Hee Haw, which is, an old country kind of show. So we'll see. I hope it. So far, we have reservations already for this show. So,
oh, wow.
And, through our season tickets that we sell, a lot of them come through with that. But you're always curious as to whether people will sign up for all the shows or not. And so it's always very heartwarming when people sign up for all the shows ahead of time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, we went from never selling an advance seat to be selling at about 50%. Many times are pre-sold. Pre-sold.
Yeah, okay.
Pre-sold, not just through season, but pre-sold. So the words are getting out, that if you want a good seat,
that's right.
Get your tickets early.
Right, because you get a reserved seat.
You get a reserved seat, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yes.
Of course, those performances are still at St. Catherine Hall.
Yes.
At St. Catherine
the
Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called the
St.
Hall.
Catherine Hall. Mm-hmm.
And which is in the Mother House part of of St. Catherine, and the same place it's always been. Luckily, we still.
Yes, and the sisters have been so gracious to us to allow us to rehearse there as well as perform there, and they enjoy having the music there for their sisters to utilize. So, I think it's a good symbiotic relationship there.
So you're always working on that, Susan, and I know you work on other things as well in the community. Would you like to share some things a little bit about? Well, you sing in the choir at St. Dominic too.
Well, I do, and I was on the parish council for a number of years, and that's when I was able to get Teresa on board as our music director at St. Dominics too. So the music at St. Dominics has really ratcheted up several notches. So that's been fun. And a few years back, we had an opportunity to entertain the idea of a new science lab at St. Dominics. Happened the All-Tech people, the owners. The Lyonses, I had learned through another occasion when we were together that they had because they live in the Lexington diocese, they had put in a science lab in every Catholic school, grade school, in the Diocese of Lexington. So I said, well, would you consider putting one in St. Dominics? And they said, well, let me think about it. And of course, they have a business here. The Alltech plant, one of their Alltech plants is here. And as it turns out, a number of people from Springfield work for them. So it didn't take them very long to say yes, they would. So that was a wonderful addition for St. Dominic's because it is state-of-the-art and it's big and has all kinds of equipment that we would never have been able to afford to put in. But what we needed to do was to get the space ready in this old school. So we had to take 2 classrooms and make them into one. And we had to change all the air conditioning and ventilation and plumbing in those rooms to accommodate all the things that they wanted to put in. So we needed to, raise some money to do that and get it done. And we did. And we have a great science lab now.
It's wonderful.
So the kids of all through the 1 through 8, or kindergarten through 8th grade, have opportunities to learn science in a fun, more experimental way than we had before. So that was neat.
Oh yeah, that's wonderful.
So.
Of course, we're sorry for the passing of Dr. Lyons.
Yes.
His untimely passing.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Of course, they were an asset, here to Washington County, and of course the St. Dominics Science Lab.
Yeah.
So, and we wouldn't have been able to accomplish that, Susan, probably without your and Lynn's involvement with them.
Well, you just have to take advantage of the opportunities when you see them.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's it. It was. Mrs. Lyons was sitting right next to me at a dinner in Louisville, and we just started chatting, and that's how I learned about it.
Yeah.
So that's the story. So
yeah.
So it's fun. It's fun to be able to do those things or be part of being able to do those things.
Yeah.
And other things. I've been on the Main Street Development Committee.
You're on that now.
Yes,
on the Main
I was
Street.
in it from the beginning.
Right.
And then I did take a little break for a few years. And then I'm back now. But when we started, of course, the first building that we really did anything was with this building. The city started, we bought this building, and we needed to figure out what we're going to do with this building, how we were going to remodel the upstairs, downstairs. So that was a big project.
Very big.
And
luckily, we got a lot of state money.
Yes, we got a lot of grant money to help us do that, and your husband was very helpful in that. So we worked together.
Got to take advantage of those
opportunities. Because you never know how long they're going to last.
That's right.
You never know. You
Right.
know. So we're grateful to that, and we've had our little business in town. We had a Snappy Tomato. We put that in that older building and fixed that building up. And then,
I love that building too.
yeah, and then I think that kind of started several other buildings getting renovated, and so I think
you all did a
we didn't,
fabulous job.
We didn't know that it would do that, but it certainly helped to get things started for others to renovate their buildings and improve the downtown area. Yeah, so Snappy's still a.
Then we had the Louisville store.
Yeah, the Louisville store got renovated.
Well, Ed did the Louisville, and then the wait a minute.
Well, then
I'm getting my stores mixed up.
Well, right next to us
Robertson Building.
Right. Then right next to the Snappy was Tommy Ward had a couple of buildings, which then were sold to John Strickland. He fixed up those buildings, and then the bank fixed up their buildings, and John had another building down on Main Street that he had fixed up. So before we knew it, the whole block had been fixed up.
Yeah.
So it worked really nice, really well. So
Yep. So that started and that's continued, and it's just made Springfield look beautiful, Susan.
Well,
Thank you so much.
Well, I'm not the only one. We're a team. There's
Right.
a team here, and that's one of the things that I really love about this community is that there are a number of people who are willing to put in the time and effort to have a great community to live in.
Yeah.
And Lisa's one of them.
So, well, I do my best, and you know, it's like you say, it's a group effort.
It is.
And luckily, we do have a lot of people who are committed to Springfield and to making it a better place.
Yes.
So I congratulate you and thank you, Susan, for all the work you
Well,
have done.
I do
And
because I
Lynn,
love to do
we'll
it.
put a shout out to Lynn too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lynn.
Yeah, Len's been very instrumental too in helping to get the new high school.
Yeah.
So we were really happy about getting that new high school. So,
And I want to, I always say, behind every good man, there's a good woman. So the other morning at the Business and Professional Women's Club meeting, at the breakfast where you all were honored, I got tickled at some man saying, well, behind every good woman, there's a good man.
and that is true.
Behind every successful woman, there's a good man. I don't, something to that effect. So maybe not.
It does work in my case. It does work in my case. It does work in my case. Yeah.
So,
He's
but
a good,
anyway.
yes, he always was a mentor to me over the years too. So he helped me get my wings started
And you've just
taken off.
flown. That's right.
Taken off. Yeah.
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 Well, thank you for all you do, and congratulations on your award. And I hope you'll continue
As long as I'm
to
able.
stick with us.
As long as I'm able,
Yeah.
I will be. You know. I
And
will
we
be.
so glad that you decided to make Springfield your home, Susan.
Thank you. Well, we've enjoyed it. We've enjoyed it
Springfield
immensely.
appreciates it.
You're sweet.
Thanks.